The credits are rolling on the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake for the Nintendo Switch, not the original Game Boy version, which I love, by the way. I love a lot. And so I was equal parts excited and hesitant when this remake was... You don't want to mess with nostalgia sometimes. You want to kind of keep nostalgia in a nice, safe box somewhere locked away, and you don't really want to mess with it. But Nintendo has a pretty good history with remaking things and making them better upon their remakes. And the team behind this game, Grezzo, has done a lot of those remakes for Nintendo, and they've actually done some, or not remakes, but they've done some porting of games in the past. Some of the Legend of Zelda games, actually, they've ported. So they have a history with The Legend of Zelda. It's in good hands. And so ultimately, I am very, very happy to say that the game is phenomenal. Dare I say, it actually is better than the original game. The biggest, most obvious difference between this version and the original version is the look itself. The original version was on the Game Boy, which was capable of 4 greenish colors and very pixelated graphics. This, obviously, many more colors and a really, really interesting art style. That it has this toy type feel where the edges of the screen are a little bit blurred, focusing your attention on the action in the center of the screen. Everything has this waxy, fake plant patina. It's a style that I wasn't originally in love with, but it did grow on me, unlike what an actual fake plant would do. And there's some frame rate issues, I have to say. There's some slowdown, very, very noticeable slowdown frame rate issues. So this game could have been optimized a little bit better. The performance is a little bit laggy, but that doesn't detract from the game itself. The game is fantastic. I don't really have a ton to say about it, other than I think this is probably the first Zelda game that Nintendo truly nailed, and I know that's probably going to hurt a lot of people. The first game on the Nintendo Entertainment System was good, really good, in fact, but it also it wasn't nearly as cohesive as Link's Awakening would be. A lot of the quests in that original game required a fair amount of luck that I don't really appreciate or don't really like. It required that you had access to the instruction manual so that you could read about certain things and therefore be able to do these things in the game. And then Link's Adventure, the second, or the Adventures of Link, the second game, totally different style, side-scrolling style, so I'll skip right over that. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, though, is a cohesive whole. Everything you need to know about the game in order to complete the game and have fun with the game is contained within the game itself. There's not a lot of guesswork. There's not a lot of just roaming around, trying things, seeing if things work. You are told somewhere in the game how to do pretty much everything, sometimes possibly to a fault. I don't know if this game has been updated, this version has been updated with more hints, but I felt like this game was much, much, much easier than when I originally played it as a child. Now, hopefully part of that is because I'm an adult now, and adults are smarter than kids, but I feel like there was a lot of hand-holding here that I don't remember having earlier. For example, I feel like there's a lot of owl statues throughout the game, and if those were even in the original game, they feel much more prominent, and the whole purpose of the owl statue is to give you hints of where you need to go. Inside the dungeons themselves, there are these owl statues that also give you hints within the dungeon. Those I do believe were in the original, but again, I feel like there were more of them this time. I could be wrong. Again, hopefully I'm just, smarter than I was when I first played this game. I don't know, 12 years old or 10 years old or whatever it was. It controls really well. There are some side-scrolly bits where you get to play as Link and you get to sort of jump, and the jump mechanic in here is a bit floaty since you can't change directions in the air like we have come to expect platformers to allow us to do. But of course, if they were to introduce that, it would essentially break the game, because there are a lot of areas where you're doing these side-scrolling jumps, and you actually part of the challenge is having to time the jumps just correctly and having to commit to the jumps. So I understand not softening that for modern players. There is one introduction, a new introduction into the game, a dungeon creator. Think Mario Maker super, super, super light. And I could care less about it. I played one round of it. It wasn't interesting at all, and I completely never looked at it again. So it's there, I think, just so that Nintendo could maybe test the waters a little bit with maybe expanding that into its own game. As of right now, though, I would be very surprised if Nintendo decided to make that a larger game, and unless they really revamped it, because it's awful. It's just stupid. And now let me get into what could possibly be a little bit of spoiler territory. The story of this game, it's actually pretty depressing. So you start off, you wash up on the shore of this island called Koholint Island, and you meet the people, you start helping the people, you get to know the people. They quickly take you in as one of their own. They're very empathetic, and so therefore you are endeared to them as well. You're starting essentially a nice life here, and you're always trying to get back home where you came from, which in the game itself never addresses where you came from. But players familiar with the series would think, oh, Hyrule, of course. So you're trying to get back where you came from. The only way you can do this is by waking up this fish that's in an egg at the top of a mountain. Very logical stuff, of course, obviously. And so you go around the entire map gathering instruments from all of these dungeons so that you can play these instruments and wake up this fish so that you can leave. But what you don't know as you first start gathering these instruments, but you learn slowly throughout the game, is that by waking up the fish, the island will disappear. So essentially, the island is almost a figment of the sleeping fish's dreams. And so to wake up the fish means the dream goes away, means that you go away, means that all of the people that you've started to care about, all of the friends you've made, they all go away too. When you're forced to acknowledge this later in the game, it is pretty heavy. Also, you end the game with Link still in the middle of the ocean with no help in sight. So there's that. So you actually aren't really any better off at the end of this game than you were when you started it. It's very crazy. So yeah, Link is probably going to get eaten by a shark, but that's Link's problem, not mine. It's very late right now. I'm very tired. I played this game in about three sessions over the last couple of days, so I am ready to fall asleep. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like this video, subscribe, share with friends, share with family, share with all the people you love.